Um, I'm so proud. I'm so proud to have this badge that represents me as a knight here in New Zealand. It's I mean I'd wear it to bed in my pajamas if my wife would let me. I'm just so proud of it. I got my knighthood, which I'm extremely proud of, for services to youth and education. It's nothing to do with rugby league, which my life was built around really, but youth and education are really paramount in my thinking. I had very little education myself, and yet once I retired from rugby league, from coaching rugby league, one of the things I realised is that so many people from disadvantaged areas played a massive role in my career. And when all I wanted to do was help them if I could. And I thought one of the big things I could help them with was education, because a lot of them were falling through the cracks. I'm not an educator myself, but they were falling through the cracks. I could see that. And they were young kids and whatnot were forgetting the importance just of a simple thing like being on time. So I have 12 principles that my coaching philosophy is based around. And with a little bit of thought, we were able to design a literacy and numeracy, level 2 literacy and numeracy foundation studies, and weave that course through the 12 principles that I have just from coaching. So I'm no genius or anything. I'm just a volunteer coach, like millions in this country, like millions. And those millions are called parents. But just from that volunteer coaching experience, I was able to get the polytechnics around the country to weave literacy and numeracy through these principles. And for whatever reason, we've had clinical psychologists trying to give us the reasons why and understand why, but for whatever reason, they worked. I think the youth vote is going to play a major role in the outcome of this election. And I think that I'd just like to, I know I've got twin 20-year-old boys myself, and I listen, they're both at uni, and I listen to their views and I respect their views, and they're certainly already 100 times smarter than their dad, I can tell you that. When I was their age, all I could do was make an aluminium ashtray. That was about the limit of it. But I think that I do notice a lot of the younger people seem to be very left-eyed. I'm not sure if it's because of what they learn at school or at uni or whatever, but they do seem to be going that way. And I respect all that. But what I'd like them to consider is leadership. Leadership, and this is where sport is just such a great tool. The things that are successful in sport are also critical for politics and for the selection. And one of the things in sport that is absolutely essential is strong, visionary leadership. And that's what Winston brings along. And I know that sometimes I've spoken to young people, even my own boys, and Winston probably seems a little bit old. I think, see, Winston's, I think, around about the same age as me, maybe a little bit older or whatnot. So the only thing that mucks me up is the mirror. Otherwise, I still think I'm young. And I think that Winston thinks like that as well. He doesn't think old and he doesn't think young. He thinks in a timeless way that is really ageless. And it's necessary because when you say thank you this year, thank you is going to mean exactly the same in 200 years' time. So powerful, valuable, old-fashioned learning words like that will never be forgotten. I know advertising agencies and various political parties will come up with new slogans and themes. Nothing beats thank you. Nothing beats please. And they are words that constantly come through Winston's conversations. When you hear him talk, he doesn't demand things. He asks in an old-fashioned way. And old-fashioned values are something this country cannot afford to forget. He's got so much going for him, but he's a guy that can fit in any situation at all. A number of years ago, I used to watch when he was the foreign Minister of Foreign Affairs or something like that, I think he was. But I used to watch him sitting next to Condoleezza or somebody Rice over in the States there. But I was so proud of Winston because I think he represented us in the way that all Kiwis wanted to be represented on that particular stage there. Winston is class. When you're a good player, there's two things you need. You need class and you need style. And that is exactly what Winston's got. And also, quite differently to what many think, he's a very, very humble man. He's a very, very humble man who can mix with anyone. He doesn't forget people. He loves New Zealand. He knows what's important to Kiwis. I've never, ever once heard Winston push the Maori thing. And I know, I'm not saying that's right, wrong, or indifferent. But gee, sometimes it comes a little bit, the noise comes a little bit along too much. Winston could, if he wanted to, push that, but he doesn't. He delivers the message in a way that all Kiwis understand. That's the thing. His delivery is special. It comes in a language and it comes in a manner we can all understand. And I think that's a key for Winston. That's why I think Winston will help create a government in New Zealand that is really accountable, that can stand on its own 2 feet, that can say the strong words when they need to be said to other countries, can listen to what's going on, and is humble. You know, New Zealand is a great country, and I've had a number of occasions when I could have stayed away from New Zealand and lived, because the work that I was doing, I could easily have become an Australian citizen if I wanted to, and I did come close. I thought about it a few times, but I was drawn back to New Zealand one day. Actually, after I retired, I was living in Manly. I never thought I would be back, but I had to retire because of ill health. And I remember I got asked to go down to Brookvale Oval to get my in Manly to get my photo taken with some kids that had come over from Taranaki. I think they were a school age group of kids who wanted to come and visit Brookvale Oval, and so I went down to have my photo taken down there. And I remember these kids did the haka, and I watched. And it brought a lump to my throat. These kids were about 12, 13 years old. And in my mind, I thought, what the heck am I doing here? I'm a Kiwi. I'm a Kiwi. And the magnetism of what those boys delivered and the magnetism of our country drew me back. New Zealand has got a fantastic asset that all countries go on about. But New Zealand's got great beaches, it's good fishing, you know, good mountains and sheep and horses and all that sort of stuff. For me, it never, ever, ever really underlined the most important asset of all, and that is the people. As people, we really underestimate ourselves. We've got a little bit of a thing where I think we lack in some ways a bit of confidence. As Kiwis, we lack a bit of confidence, and we're all, oh no, I won't do it. No, you do it. We're a little bit like that. Winston can cut through that. I'm not saying he's overconfident. Winston can cut through that. Winston delivers class and style. And really, when I look to somebody who I'd love to represent me overseas, who I'd love to see is look, this is Winston Peters. He's from New Zealand. I mean, what a man. And he fits our country. I'm Sir Graham Lowe, or Lowy. Party vote New Zealand first.